The Aeon Star hurled through the vastness of space, a lone ship in the endless void. For weeks, the crew had been traveling at unimaginable speeds, their ship hurtling towards a distant star system that held the promise of a new home for humanity. The journey had been so smooth, but the crew knew that anything could happen at any moment. As the ship approached the halfway point of its journey, a warning alarm suddenly blared through the ship. Captain Zhang's eyes snapped open, her instincts taking over as she sprang into action. She rushed to the bridge, her heart pounding in her chest. "What's happening?" she demanded, her voice firm and commanding. "Captain, we've got a problem with the engine," one of the crew members reported. "It's overheating and we're losing power." Captain Zhang's mind raced as she considered the options. If the engine failed completely, the ship would be adrift in space, a floating tomb for the crew. They had to act fast. "Is there anything we can do to fix it?" she asked, her voice calm but urgent. "We're running diagnostics now, but it doesn't look good," another crew member reported. "We might have to shut it down to prevent catastrophic failure." Captain Zhang's mind raced as she considered the options. Shutting down the engine would mean losing precious speed and time, but it might be their only option. They had to weigh the risks and make a decision quickly. As she pondered their next move, the ship shuddered violently, jolting the crew and sending them tumbling to the floor. The crew scrambling to their feet, their hearts racing as they tried to regain their footing. "What the hell was that?" Captain Zhang demanded. "We've been hit by debris," one of the crew members reported. "The engine is failing faster than we thought. We need to shut it down now." Captain Zhang knew the situation was dire. They had to act quickly if they were going to survive. She gave the order to shut down the engine, and the ship shuddered once more before falling silent. The crew held their breath as they waited for the diagnostics to come back. It felt like an eternity as they watched the numbers on the screen, hoping against hope that they could salvage the engine and keep the ship moving. Finally, the results came in. The engine was irreparably damaged, and they had no choice but to abandon it. They were now adrift in space, their ship slowly drifting towards an unknown fate. Captain Zhang knew that they had to act quickly if they were going to survive. They had to find a way to repair the engine, or find another way to power the ship. But with time and resources running out, their chances were growing slimmer by the moment. Captain Zhang gathered her crew in the ship's meeting room, a small and cramped space that was now filled with tension and anxiety. They all knew that their situation was dire, and that their chances of survival were growing slimmer by the moment. "We're in a difficult position," Captain Zhang began, her voice steady but serious. "Our engine is irreparably damaged, and we're adrift in space, with no means of propulsion or communication." The crew members looked at each other, their expressions grim. They knew that they were in a dire situation with no easy way out. "But we're not giving up," Captain Zhang continued. "We're going to work together, we're going to find a solution, and we're going to overcome this obstacle and continue our mission. We have the skills and the knowledge to make this happen, and we're not going to let this defeat us." The crew members nodded in agreement, their determination and resolve rekindled by Captain Zhang's words. They knew they had to work together if they were going to survive, and they were ready to do whatever it took. With no means of repairing the engine, the crew had to think creatively. One of the engineers proposed an unorthodox solution. They could convert the ship's cargo bay into a makeshift engine. The idea was audacious and untested, but the crew had no other options. They immediately set to work, using all available resources to construct a new engine. They stripped down the cargo bay, removing everything that wasn't essential to the ship's function. They scavenged parts and equipment from all over the ship, cannibalizing systems and rearranging them to create a new engine. The process was difficult and dangerous. The crew had to work in cramped and confined spaces, often contorting themselves into awkward positions to access hard-to-reach areas. They had to be careful not to damage the ship's systems or compromise the structural integrity of the cargo bay. Despite the challenges, the crew persevered. They worked tirelessly, often working around the clock to make progress. They took shifts, carefully coordinating their efforts to ensure that the work continued without interruption. Days turned into weeks, and the ship continued hurtling through space. The crew worked with a sense of urgency, knowing that their lives depended on their success. But even as they worked, doubts began to creep in. Would the new engine even work? Was it even possible to convert a cargo bay into a functioning engine? Finally, after an epic effort, they finished. The new engine hummed to life, and the ship began to accelerate forward. The crew cheered, slapping each other on the back and embracing in relief and excitement. But their joy was short-lived. The new engine was untested, and the crew had no idea how long it would hold up. They still had a long journey ahead of them, and the dangers of deep space loomed large. But for now, they were moving forward, and that was all that mattered.